Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B Gossips update channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Carter's wife, Daphne, is threatened by Ivy Forrester. According to spoilers, Ivy Forrester's strange reign of terror will persist on the CBS serial opera The Bold and the Beautiful. However, Daphne Rose has identified Elektra's crazy aunt. How far will Ivy go to silence Daphne now that she knows she stole Will Spencer's letter? Find out what's going to happen next by continuing to read. Daphne Rose, Carter's wife, saw Ivy taking a note her niece had left for Will Spencer Jr. last week on Bold and Beautiful. Elektra Forrester was disappointed that Will never got back to her after the letter proved to be a huge problem. The stolen letter will actually cause turmoil on the CBS soap opera the next week. Daphne is desperate to inform Elektra that Will never receive the crucial letter. Daphne was cautioned to keep it under wraps by Elektra's aunt Ivy Forrester. How much longer can Daphne remain silent and allow Elektra to suffer? Ivy Forrester's conduct on The Bold and the Beautiful is becoming increasingly unpredictable, according to spoilers. She moved from being proper police to ruining her niece's romance and forcing her into her fictitious cousin's arms. There are rumors that the authors may even be laying the groundwork for an Ivy mental health plot. How far will Elektra's aunt go in the interim to ensure that Daphne doesn't expose her? Ivy Forrester was considered harmless in the past. However, we wouldn't rule out anything from this unpredictable jewelry designer. Spoilers indicate that Daphne will seek assistance from her husband, Carter Walton, this week. Carter might have to protect his bride from the crazy jewelry designer though. Do you believe Ivy poses a threat? Now that Elektra's aunt is pursuing Daphne Rose, is she in danger? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And return to Soap Opera Spy for more information and spoilers about Bold and Beautiful. Eric is taken by surprise, Ivy is unable to stop, and secrets get out of hand. According to spoilers for the upcoming 3 weeks of The Bold and the Beautiful, Eric Forrester might be betrayed, while Ivy Forrester simply won't be able to stop using deception. Let's talk about what's coming up because secrets will also take center stage and lead to some uncontrollable turmoil. Hope Logan Spencer and Steffi Forrester Finnegan's next argument over whether Taylor Hayes belongs with Deacon Sharp is scheduled for this coming week. Speaking of Deacon, he will pretend that Taylor is with him during his frolic in the bedroom with Sheila Sharp. Sheila will be extremely appreciative since she believes that Taylor's treatment sessions are the cause of her rekindled romance with Deacon. In actuality, Deacon will only be thinking about Taylor and yearning for her rather than his wife. They'll make out once more after Deacon tells Taylor that, and maybe they'll come to the conclusion that resisting temptation is no longer an option. Melissa Dillon will also find Will Spencer to be rather alluring. Will and Dillon will both appreciate a kiss, but there's a potential that it may start with some imagining. But it won't be long until Dillon probably admits that she has feelings for Will. Fans will witness Dillon provide some significant information to Will, which may cause him to rekindle his romance despite his Elektra Forrester sadness. In the end, Will tell Steffi some unexpected news. It's feasible that Will announce his departure from Forrester, but it's also plausible that he will notify Steffi of his separation with Elektra. Ivy will then continue to manipulate Elektra's romantic life, in the hopes of persuading her to view RJ Forrester as a viable option. Ivy will think that RJ can help Elektra forget about Will, but if Elektra found out about her aunt's deceit, she would be incensed. Naturally, Daphne Rose is aware that Ivy stole Elektra's letter and caused all of the destruction she is currently experiencing. During the week of March 9th to 13th, Daphne might reflect on that secret and consider whether or not to reveal it. Daphne may eventually tell Carter Walton the truth to seek his opinion on what transpired. If Katie Logan Spencer accepts Bill Spencer's suggestion and says they should maintain Eric's ideas, Eric might be taken by surprise. That might result in more intense confrontations and ultimately make Katie question whether all of this trouble is worthwhile. Brooke, Logan and Katie. If Katie keeps moving in this direction, Forrester's already awful relationship will only get worse. If Taylor and Deacon are still going behind Sheila's back by that week, she might eventually start to have some concerns. Could Sheila eventually decide to join Deacon after seeing he constantly disappearing on her? While Elektra begins to truly give her heart to RJ, things may get heated between Will and Dillon. When the reality about Ivy's deception eventually surfaces, The love quad she has constructed will turn into a nightmare. Stay tuned for more romance difficulties. According to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Hope and Steffi quarrel. Deacon had been gentle with her, but despite his marriage to Sheila, he and Taylor succumbed to their emotions. Sheila even made an effort to become friends with Taylor, while staying totally in the dark. However, because she was Deacon's therapist, Taylor maintained her distance and established a clear barrier. Steffi discovered that Taylor and Deacon were becoming closer at the same time. She encouraged Hope to assist in keeping their parents apart. With Deke firmly on her side, Hope, on the other hand, stood behind her father and did not want him bound to Sheila. Given that Sheila is Finn's biological mother, Steffi's worries went deeper. Sheila shot Finn and Steffi not so long ago, leaving Steffi for dead. Steffi, determined to keep her family safe, gave Taylor a choice. Either Deacon pick her and the kids or choose him. While Deke supported Deacon, Steffi looked to Finn for guidance on the entire situation. Sheila and Taylor also had another uncomfortable encounter. Dylan gives Will a kiss. After witnessing Elektra kiss RJ, Will is coping with a broken heart. Will is attempting to move on from his relationship with Elektra, but it's not always easy. Fortunately, Dylan is there to console him and guide him. Dylan tells Will that she knows how to cheer him up when he's feeling depressed. Will asks inquisitively, and Dylan gives him a kiss. Will be surprised by Dylan's kiss, but what matters is what he does next. Will he succumb to temptation and try to get close to Dylan? Or is Elektra still in his heart? In relation to Elektra, she is still sad by the split from Will. She thinks Will wants to be with Dylan and is still clueless that he saw her and RJ kissing. Ivy is there to console her niece when Elektra sobs over Will. Ivy puts a stop to Elektra's apparent attempts to reconcile with Will. It's not proper at all, she continues, reminding Elektra of Will and Dylan's actions. Will Elektra follow Ivy's advice and move on from Will now that she's listening to her aunt? Now that her and Deacon's marriage appears to be back on track, Sheila is ecstatic. Sheila is eager to share her happiness with Taylor following their passionate evening together. Sheila returns to Taylor's office to express her gratitude to the renowned psychiatrist for rescuing her marriage. Sheila then discusses her lovely evening with Deacon. Sheila exclaims, "It was so amazing," over and over, as Taylor starts to feel uneasy hearing about the couple's passionate moments. Taylor is still in shock after learning about him and Sheila when Deacon pays her a visit later. It's clear that Taylor loves Deacon and vice versa, despite her attempts to break up with him. Deacon claims that despite his attempts to recommit to Sheila, Taylor was the only thing on his mind. The two kiss after he declares his love for Taylor. It appears that Deacon won't be the only person experiencing love feelings this week. With RJ, Elektra establishes a clear boundary. The showroom's air became frigid. RJ didn't get the response he was hoping for. RJ disclosed his covert plan while Elektra plummeted over the prospect that her relationship with Will had ended. RJ used Elektra's weakness by kissing her as she leaned on him for comfort. Despite being turned down for the initial kiss, he then desired another. Elektra repeatedly warned RJ that he couldn't simply kiss her. RJ took advantage of Elektra's perception that she was no longer with Will. He took advantage of the circumstance for his own benefit by denying her time to recover. Even after being turned down, it appears that he has not given up on the concept. Later, he discussed what had transpired with Ivy. He maintained that Elektra ought to have a better partner, someone like him. Now Elektra is torn between a man who she believes doesn't want her and a man who does. Elektra and RJ have already established a firm border. However, the harm to her relationship with Will and her reputation may have begun. Just as their lips touched, Will entered and he was furious. He went back to the beach house and mentally relived the catastrophic event. In the meantime, RJ used an unwelcome kiss to erase his golden boy persona. He was left to justify his unjustifiable action, which he still thought was the appropriate course of action at the time. RJ and Elektra's working relationship is now poisonous. He saw her generosity as a chance to take advantage of her pain. However, nothing will deter him from pursuing the ideal woman. Ivy manipulates RJ and Elektra. Elektra made Will happy. Dylan eventually needed assistance, of course, and she moved in with Will. Dylan was cautioned by Elektra not to go too far with Will. Ivy practiced ballet after Will, and Dylan babysat her while she was away on business. When Dylan fell into Will's lap, Ivy happened to be staring out the window and thought it was inappropriate. She immediately told Elektra that Dylan needed to move out. Will was not pleased with Elektra's ultimatum over the Dylan problem. Elektra eventually ended the relationship as a result of the circumstances, and she now struggles to maintain her composure at work. Elektra gave Will another ultimatum, but they were still apart. After that, Elektra was able to tell RJ, Brooke, and Katie about Eric's argument. Ridge made the decision that Eric needed to resign and leave the fashion industry just before Christmas. Eric firmly resisted, stating that he still had a lot of work to do and that he had no plans to leave. Nevertheless, Eric felt ignored and cut off from his position at Forrester Creations as Ridge proceeded with the retirement celebration. Eric suffered during the holidays as a result of being kicked out. Following their remarriage, Bill gave Katie a fashion house, which marked the beginning of a new chapter for her. She looked to Eric since she knew she needed an experienced designer to spearhead the effort. He seized the chance, immersing himself in fresh creations and rediscovering his purpose. Eric kept his relationship with Logan a secret to prevent repercussions. Behind the scenes, Eric quietly created a completely new collection, while Katie and Brooke worked on branding and direction. Ultimately, Katie proceeded with Logan as the company's name, concealing its greatest benefit. Bill urged Eric to expedite the process as the launch drew nearer so Katie's team could realize the concepts. He began to feel the effects of the pressure. Eric had a severe respiratory problem during the last push, so Donna had to take him to the hospital right away. Ridge and Brooke were still unaware that Eric was following Logan at that point. After discovering the truth, Liam eventually told Hope. Additionally, Bill and Katie came clean, which sparked a confrontation between Ridge and Eric that had disastrous results. Elektra gave Will a deadline regarding Dylan in the meanwhile. Elektra ended their relationship as a result of Will's pushback. Ridge and Brooke made Eric retire. They believed it would be beneficial for his well-being. Eric envisioned his next collection on the red carpet, but he still wanted to design. He thus consented to create designs for Logan, Katie's new fashion brand. He could still feel the enthusiasm he had when he was employed at Forrester Creations. However, things haven't always been easy, particularly when Bill is involved. He has the last word over Katie's debut collection, for whatever reason. In order to release the debut collection as quickly as possible, Bill hurried Eric during the episode. However, Eric saw that the designs were very different from what he had imagined. Everything was wrong with them, he asserted. They had to start over from scratch. Additionally, this implied that Eric needed to devote more time to his intense sketching at home. Donna, his wife, saw that he was under a lot of stress.